Now
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06, and we're charging along here on this Monday morning, and a busy one at that, at 7:35 in just 30 minutes. We're going to speak with a brand new candidate for chair of Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, Stephen Karbelk. Also at 8:35, Hung Kao, who's running for the Republican nomination for Senate in Virginia. I'm Larry O'Connor, alongside Mercedes Schlapp, back from vacation. Welcome back, Mercedes.
Hi, good morning, Larry. It's great to be back with you. It's been forever.
I know. We've had indictments. We've had Devin Archer. We've had march toward impeachment inquiry. We got to get up to speed, and there's no one better to do that than the former U.S. Attorney of the District of Columbia, Joe diGenova. Joe, it's good to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Good to be with you guys.
Where do we begin? I think I want to start with what was said over the weekend about the indictment against President Trump, the various indictments against President Trump. He obviously is using social media to make his case and defend himself. And now there's a suggestion that a gag order will be applied. Now, I can understand why there would be a gag order for prosecutors and police and things like that, but since when does a judge tell a defendant they can't publicly defend themselves? I mean, if anything, his words can be used against him in court. It might not be smart for him to defend himself, but can the judge say, no, you're not allowed to make the public case and defend yourself on television or on social media?
She can try, and there have been rare instances where such gag orders are issued and upheld. I don't think one will be upheld in this case, depending upon its terms. She's going to try today, after she gets the papers filed by Trump's team by 5 o'clock, to issue some sort of a so-called protective order. Now, the counsel, special counsel Jack Smith, has asked that he not be allowed to publicly discuss the evidence in the case that is turned over to them in discovery, such as grand jury testimony. In my opinion, that's unconstitutional. He ought to be able to discuss, and his lawyers, anything they want in public. And she's going to say this is to protect the potential jury pool. I'm not sure she's going to say anything about threats. If she says anything about threats to witnesses and the government agents, she's going to be way out of line. But nothing that any of these judges have done that has been out of line has ever been rebuked or stopped by any higher court. So the point is, she can do anything she wants. By the way, she's going to be asked to recuse herself, which she will not, because that's a matter of discretion. She's going to be asked to change the venue. That's a matter of discretion. She will never change venue. She wants to keep this. She thinks this is her ticket to stardom. She is a clear hater of Donald Trump. He is in for a very rough ride, and she can be very nasty, and she's going to impose some sort of protective order. I have no idea how stupid she can be in terms of the length and breadth of that. But they are brazen. Remember, she's an Obama judge, and that's just not a judge. She used to work at Boyce Schiller, who is Hunter Biden's law firm. If anything, she should be recusing herself. There's no way that she should be sitting in this case. She's hired Fusion GPS in the case where she represented Theranos, the woman in New York who ran the corrupt blood meter company that she was indicted and convicted for. So this judge is the perfect pick for the government because she's going to be rough on Trump. I don't expect him to get any fairness out of her courtroom.
Let me ask you this. So it was, I think one of the statements that Trump posted on Truth Social is the one that really caused a lot of folks to be like, well, wait a second, why is he doing this? This is very concerning, is the, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. So when it's statements like that, how do the Trump lawyers deal with this?
Well, it's not easy when you have a talkative client like Donald Trump. I understood that he was responding to various posts on various websites about him and about the case, that he wasn't talking about the prosecutors or anybody else. But she's going to give it the worst interpretation possible, this judge, Tanya Chutkan. Remember that name, Tanya Chutkan. She is going to make this her ticket to a higher court. She will never get out of this case. Trump is uncontrollable in that sense by his attorneys, but he is entitled to say what he wants to say about this case. He's been charged, for heaven's sakes. This is a case that could have been brought 2.5 years ago. Instead, they brought it now. to tamp out news about the Biden family. And by the way, let me just say something about the Bidens. You know, Joe Biden, you were citing some of his lies, like the one in the debate, where he uses the knowingly false statement by the 51 intel officers. Every time Joe Biden told a lie in public about his son Hunter, that is admissible evidence of consciousness of guilt. So all of those lies, every one of them is evidence that can be used against him, along with his admission later that he did meet with people, and what's so bad about that? So believe me, the case against Trump, against Biden, is beyond what's basis for an inquiry. They should be holding an inquiry right now into impeachment. By the way, Mercedes, there isn't enough time to impeach Mayorkas and Garland and Ray.
There isn't. You're right.
The president. There's not enough time.
There's not enough time.
If you're going to keep the House and wait for this, it's over. Forget it. If you're going to do it, you got to do it now.
Yep. I absolutely agree.
That's exactly where I wanted to lead the conversations. You did hear, we just played, not only did Joe Biden during that debate provoke and instigate hostilities towards Russia, a nuclear-armed nation, by falsely accusing them of planting the laptop story, which was 100% true, and he knew it, and all those 51 intelligence people knew it when they signed that letter. But the second audio bite that I played, Joe, where he said, I never talked to my son about his business because we didn't want there to be an appearance of conflict. That means he was aware that he shouldn't talk to him. And of course, we now know that it wasn't just just better safe than sorry. No. It's because his involvement is criminal.
That clip, which you talked about, and the clip of him after he leaves office at the Council on Foreign Relations, where he brags about firing Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor general in Ukraine, is also admissible evidence against him in an impeachment proceeding. Every one of these true statements and false statements that he made is admissible against him in court. And by the way, speaking of Tanya Chutkan and Jack Smith, this latest indictment is not the last one. They are going to supersede the indictment in the District of Columbia. I will guarantee you that the 6 co-conspirators are going to be indicted facially on the indictment by Jack Smith, and they're all going to be charged with insurrection. That's the disqualifying charge that's never been brought, and it surprised me that it wasn't what this indictment in D.C. was about.
You think they're holding that as an ace card?
They are waiting for the big next shoe to drop on Joe Biden and his family, and then the insurrection indictment is coming down to take all of the air out of the atmosphere. Listen, this is the sleaziest Justice Department. This makes Teapot Dome. This makes all the bad attorney generals we've ever had look like angels. This is disgusting. They are ruining the Department of Justice and the FBI. And just think about this. Christopher Wray sits there, not a whimper, not one whimper from him. And here's another thing, not one whistleblower from inside the Justice Department, not one career lawyer coming forward or an employee. No one like those brave IRS agents who testified on Capitol Hill. The fact that there are no DOJ whistleblowers tells you how corrupt that place is.
Joe, can you stay with us, because I want to delve into this a little further, and also with regard to the criminalization of legal advice, because that's what it appears to be the case with Jack Smith, because this affects you. In fact, it has affected you and your wife and partner, Victoria. If you can stick, I'd love to get your firsthand response to that.
Sure.
In a moment. But first, it's 7:15.
WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Joe diGenova, we continue our conversation here. And there's something about this indictment that I should send a chill up most lawyers' spines. These unindicted co-conspirators, which appear to be Sidney Powell and John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, who gave advice that the special counsel and the president and the attorney general appear not to like. You know, it's advice that they disagree with. It's advice they think is wrong and dangerous. And by being unindicted co-conspirators, I interviewed John Eastman on Friday on my television show, and he said, listen, the advice I gave the president having to do with the validity of how certain states came up with their electoral college votes and whether they could be challenged at the state level, these are things that had not yet quite been tried or determined by the Supreme Court or any federal jurisdictions yet. Is his constitutional theory. I'm a constitutional law professor. I gave my opinion. And suddenly, not only is it criminal for the president to take that opinion and agree with that opinion, and then, try to use his powers as president to act on those opinions, but now these lawyers are seen as unindicted co-conspirators. And you and your partner, Victoria Tonsing, when you were also involved with advising the president at various times with regard to issues and matters that we now know were obviously factual with regard to Burisma and corruption in Ukraine, you were targeted as well for being lawyers and giving advice and advising. That's terrifying, Joe.
Well, what they're doing is they're trying to frighten people into submission, into not cooperating, into not representing people, into not doing their jobs. When they executed a search warrant at our house in Chevy Chase in 2021 in April, what they were doing was they were not looking for evidence of a crime. They said they were. They said Victoria was not the subject of the investigation or the target, but that she had something on her cell phone and her iPad that might be evidence of a crime, and they wanted that. That was a lie. They lied to a federal judge in order to get that search warrant. What they were doing was what the Southern District of New York continues to do until this day, and that is protect the Biden family. That all you have to do is look what's happening in Delaware with the David Weiss plea deal to show you how corrupt the Department of Justice is. That's just not because Delaware's a backwater, tiny little state, Mississippi, 1964, with a corrupt local United States attorney. That's part of the Department of Justice, what David Weiss is doing. In New York, what's happened in the Southern District for the last 4 to 5 years is that they have been conducting illegal searches on individuals in order to find out what those individuals knew about the Bidens, not to gather evidence against the individuals, but to find out what they needed to protect the Bidens from. That's what they wanted on Victoria's computer and her phone. What she had was information about clients, and that they could have cared less about those clients, so that a special master had to be appointed when they took Victoria's phone, and it cost us $500,000 to defend all the client information on those phones from the prying eyes of the Department of Justice. But here's the best part of it. 2 years earlier, in 2019, they had done a secret search of the cloud for everything that was already on those phones and that iPad, and didn't have a third party to protect attorney-client information. We are dealing with the single most corrupt Department of Justice in the history of the United States. And anybody who doubts that is a moron.
I'm so glad you bring that up, because I do agree. I think their goal is to target anyone associated with Donald Trump. It is to bankrupt these individuals. You see this time and time again of individuals that have been connected with Donald Trump that the DOJ goes after, and then they do these sweetheart deals for Hunter Biden. And then at what point can this all end? Joe, what I know that hopefully the election. But then do we even have to
listen? There is no control anymore. The federal courts are of no value. They are absolutely gone politically. The federal courts, look at the District of Columbia Federal Court. Not a single judge has stood up for these January 6th defendants, notwithstanding that these pretrial detentions are absolutely outrageous and unconstitutional. There are all sorts of conditions that can be imposed on these people to prevent them from wandering away from the courthouse. How ludicrous. These judges are useless. They are no longer of any value to protecting the rights of American citizens. It's truly. How do you solve this? You better keep the House, because if you don't, it's going to be reversed. They are going to subpoena the world for the records and documents of everybody who spoke out against them right now during this time period. This is one of the most dangerous times in American history.
Joe, just a minute left, but there are too many political consultants who will hear you say that. Make sure you keep the House. Don't lose the House. Don't lose the House. They'll hear that and they'll say, oh, then we better not impeach, because that'll make people angry and suburban moms will be angry and we'll lose the House. I think it's the opposite. I think if they don't impeach, they lose the House.
If you don't impeach, you lose the base. And so, forget it. If you lose the base, you're done. You're absolutely done. It's over for you. Listen, there is so much evidence. I've started to do a running resume of the evidence against Joe Biden for an impeachment. It's now 3 pages of single space of simple bullet points. This is beyond wondering whether or not we should do it. I think what Kevin McCarthy is doing is she's trying to figure out the politically appropriate moment. And what better time to do it? By the way, I see that the American women lost the World Cup. Can I just say something?
Yeah.
If you hate your country more than you hate your opponent in soccer, you end up with bad karma and you lose.
Thank you for that. In fact, we've got some coverage of the United States women's team coming up in a minute, and you're right. That's exactly what we agree with, and I'm glad you were able to give us some
good way to end it.
Football analysis as well. Thank you, Joe. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
You bet. God save America.
Amen to
Amen.
that.
Now,
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
In your nation's capital, thanks for joining us. It's O'Connor and Company. Coming up at 8:35, we'll speak with Hung Kao, who's running for the Republican nomination for Senate in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And joining us also all morning long is Mercedes Schlapp. What's your title in the Commonwealth of Virginia? You're like the Empress? Are you the Duchess?
No way. I'm just a humble servant.
Oh, thank God you're there to serve us.
No.
Mercedes Schlapp is with us. And, well, we have a gentleman who wants to be a humble servant. He's running for the chairman of Loudoun County Supervisors. And just to remind you who he's running against, this is Phyllis Randall, who, of course, is embroiled in the scandal over the misuse of public funds for junkets, trips, high-class, like, super luxury bougie trips to Ghana and Uganda on the taxpayer dime. When challenged on this, saying, what are you flying this premium ultra United business class there when you've got, cabinet level secretaries like Pete Buttigieg flying coach, right? And here was her answer.
Well, then that's when the Pete Buttigieg is not the chief elected official of the federal government. I am the chief elected official of the county.
Wow. All right.
Wow.
Stephen
Wow,
Karbelk.
she's more important than the Secretary of
Really?
Department of
Talk about made to
Transportation.
order. I mean, thank you
Whoa.
for running against Phyllis Randall, and I'd love for you to sort of make your case as to why. I mean, she's the chief elected official of the county of Loudoun. How dare you oppose her, Stephen?
Yeah, running for president of Loudoun County is going to be a tough challenge.
No, I believe the title is Grand Poobah of Loudoun County.
That just was a shocking statement. Mayor Pete, like him or not, he's still, I looked it up, number 14 in line for the presidency, and I don't think Phyllis Randall is anywhere in line. And for her to say that she's more important than a cabinet secretary was just beyond shocking.
So,
but
what made you decide to get into this race, and tell me about how you think you can win countywide in Loudoun? Because I keep getting told, I'm told all the time that this is a Democrat county now.
Yeah, it is a Democrat county. It's about 60% Democrat or independent, and but Loudoun County has a history of really swinging back and forth between Republicans and Democrats, and I think it's really because at the end of the day, it's really a local race. This is a county where you deal with less polarizing issues. We're talking about, real estate taxes and car taxes, and do you want to have a data center near your home, and are we going to put horse trails in a park? I mean, these are neighborhood issues that really aren't as, party driven as they are just about how do you want to live in your county and how do you want to protect your home, which is, for most people, the most valuable asset. So I'm encouraging every voter I meet to, look beyond the party and look at the candidate. And this Ghana trip, as egregious as the travel is, it really gave an insight into how the current leadership thinks and how they are treating the public. And no government official should ever be thinking of themselves the way that Phyllis Randall does. Yeah. And, when you do, they should be voted out.
Yeah, you got Phyllis Randall, and then you got Phyllis Randall's chief of staff enjoying the beach during this luxurious trip, taxpayer-funded trip to Uruguay. I mean, I know that there's this move to stop these lavish taxpayer-funded travel. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, first, let's comment on how we know they were on the beach, because they made the worst mistake ever. They used county taxpayer money to purchase a camera and then used that camera to take photos of themselves on the beach.
Wait, so we paid for their camera
too? So we have to see them in their bathing suits?
Yeah, so you have,
hubris.
Supervisor Briskman out in the ocean swimming, and you see all this. And, us plebes that just have to use our own phones to take photos when we're on vacation, they thought that they should just do better and buy a camera. Well, they, neglected to remember that a camera that's purchased with county money is subject to the Freedom of Information Act disclosures. So Nick Minock obtained those photos and released them. And so we see it firsthand. This isn't conjecture. This is actual, here they are, having a great time. It literally looked like a paid vacation.
Right.
And that's exactly
what it was. Because that's what it was. And listen, we don't need a new law to tell politicians to not do something as egregious and offensive as use county dollars for a junket like this. I know everyone's like, well, we're going to pass a law and that'll stop it. No, as long as you've got people like Phyllis Randall in charge, they'll figure out a way around it. So Stephen Karbelk, and his website is friendsofstephenkarbelk.com. That's Karbelk with a K and Stephen with a PH. Thanks for making it easy on us, Stephen. Summarize this in terms of who you are and why you should be the new county chair in Loudoun.
Yeah, so I've lived in the county since 2012. I grew up in Northern Virginia, consider myself a native here. I did spend 4 years in Oklahoma and really got an appreciation of the rural lifestyle as well. So I have a real appreciation for both Western Loudoun and Eastern Loudoun. Which makes me uniquely qualified, to be chair. I've also been in real estate for over 30 years. I know my opponent's going to say that I'm just, some realtor in the pocket of developers, but it's just not true. I just happen to be a real estate broker and own or a partner in a real estate commercial company. And I just know a lot about real estate, and I would encourage any citizen to start reading the zoning code and all the general plans or the comp plans. It's complicated, and we need a leader that actually understands real estate, because that's a big part of the job. Then, of course, understands finance. And because, look, it's a $4 billion a year budget, and you need people that are experienced.
When you understand money, and understand how to spend it wisely and in the interest of the taxpayer. Right. We got to leave it there, but no doubt we'll talk again before Election Day. But I appreciate you joining us today, and thanks for jumping in the race.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You've heard the news. Now get the facts. It's the Vince Colonnese Show, weekdays 3 to 6, right here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Well, we have an update now on the fight of the millennium. We've been waiting for this. We've been dying for this. The American people, no. Let me rephrase that, Mercedes Schlapp. The people of planet Earth deserve the cage match between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
Come on, Larry. It's never going to happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
We have an update. Elon Musk tweeted yesterday.
Go. Give me the update.
Zuck versus, this is from Elon Musk's X feed, Twitter feed. He says Zuck versus Musk fight will be live streamed on X. All proceeds would go to charity for veterans. See, this is a good thing.
So is it going to be live streamed on Thread? Is it Thread or Threads? I don't know.
I've never gone over there. But.
No, I know. Okay, well, that's wonderful, first of all, that it would be going to the veterans.
Right, I hope they pick Fisher House. They should choose Fisher House.
Yes, and but the reality is, have you seen Zuckerberg? He is ripped. Elon Musk doesn't have a chance unless he sits on Mark's face or something like that. It's bad. It's bad.
Zuckerberg responded, by the way.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg said, I'm ready today. I suggested August 26th when he first challenged me, but he hasn't confirmed. I'm not holding my breath. Mark Zuckerberg's claiming Elon Musk is chicken.
I think Elon Musk is in a very tough situation.
You're picking Zuckerberg over Musk.
I'm not. I want Musk to win, but let's be realistic. It's like putting you in the room with, like, Hulk Hogan or one of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I could totally take Hulk Hogan.
I doubt it. He's much older than you, but he's still in shape.
Mark Zuckerberg to Hulk Hogan?
No, what I'm saying is, have you seen the photos? He like takes off his shirt. He's like he's ripped. He's been training.
I'd look like that too if I were a multi-billionaire with no job. By the way, if my entire job was work out and look good and be strong, I could do it. I'd look like Tom Cruise. Do you know why I'd look like Tom Cruise? Because that's Tom Cruise's job. Tom Cruise's job is to look good in a movie with his shirt off. If that were my job,
5 feet. Like 3 inches. He's like
I don't take care of my body. I take care of my voice.
I don't take care of my
all
body.
I care about is my voice. That's my moneymaker. No, Elon Musk is not going to back out. He's not going to come up with stupid excuses. Elon Musk is. Oh wait, this just in.
Wait a second.
Elon Musk says he may need surgery.
Exactly.
Before the fight,
he's receiving an MRI of his neck and upper back, and may require surgery. That's his way out. He needs to say he's just not able to do it. Let's just have. I think it would be more interesting to have them, rather than a physical fight, have them sit down and have this debate of ideas. I think that would be more. That would be so interesting.
Really?
Yes.
So wait, so the
absolutely.
two of them squaring off, live stream where they debate freedom of speech, censorship, high tech, the role of social media in our lives, manipulating people, all that stuff.
Yes, but let me just say something.
No, I want the cage match.
No, okay, the cage match. So Musk, he complained of back pain after sumo match. Was he in a sumo match? Is that what happened?
I think he's been training.
He's been training too.
Yeah, so he's been
in
doing
a thong and like one of those sumo.
He's going to get an MRI on his back and his neck. He's complaining about pain. By the way, he not only, I missed this, he challenged Mark Zuckerberg, but he also challenged Vladimir Putin. Did you see that?
Yeah. Why would he do that? I mean, he's so weird.
He says the exact date is still in flux. I'm getting an MRI on my neck and upper back tomorrow. May require
So one
surgery.
of our dear friends just, he texted us saying, I don't know what you're talking about, Mercedes. I put Larry's 26-inch pythons up against Hulk Hogan any day.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Brian Doherty.
Brian, you're wrong. Larry would go down. Go down. We're not talking about Governor Hogan. We're talking about Hulk Hogan. Come on. He's going to go down. There's no way Larry can survive.
So the only way for me to warm up for the Hulk Hogan match is for me to take on Matt Schlapp. See, that's...
Oh.
That would be... Come on, next year's CPAC. Fundraising.
Oh, let's do this.
But
can we do this?
Me and
Meredith
Schlapp.
and I will pay
rounds.
pay you money for you and Schlapp to be working out at the gym every day, getting all
What makes you
come
think?
on.
It's 7:53.